going on, baby man? It's Bam Mary here again. Back in the shop today. My youngest brother just dropped me off some prints for a stainless steel grease trap. They need to replace a grease trap on this industrial oven thing. And I'm assuming it's pretty hard to get like a replacement part because it's probably an older thing. So he dropped me off some prints and we're gonna try to build it. Oh yeah, ain't nothing like hand-drawn sketches. This one's like really good. This dude must have used a ruler and everything. Look at that. So anyway, yeah, you get the idea. There's the side profile, top profile, end profile. My finger's in the way, it won't focus. Okay, so it's stainless and it has to hold liquid, so it's gotta be watertight. Yep, so I got some stainless steel filler rod. We're gonna TIG weld this sucker after we plasma cut all the parts out. But first things first. Yeah, baby. Know what I'm saying? We basically got all the parts cut on the plasma. Here is going to be the bottom, and yeah, this is a very long grease tray. So there's the bottom. These are basically gonna be the sides. Of course, I got garbage all over the table. So that'll be a side. This will be the other side. And then you have your end caps. So you'll have, you know, a box with an open top. Here will be the other end cap. And then you have the handle piece, which is basically gonna be, this back piece is what's gonna get tacked onto the end. And then you'll have, this will be your centerpiece or the top of the handle. And then you'll have the little part of the handle that your fingers actually come up underneath and you can slide in and out, slide the tray in and out. So the only crappy thing is it's stainless, so my really nice magnetic board is not gonna help hold my parts. So I gotta clean these up by hand without hitting my fingies. And I'm gonna go ahead and use a pad that's already a little bit worn. That way I don't dig into the stainless too much. And I'm gonna try, well, we'll see. I'm gonna try to stick with just going around the edge to get that dross off there, but I'll probably wind up just hitting the entire surface because I'm gonna wind up going back over it with a with some type of sander or orbital or something just to rough up the whole surface and make it all look uniform. So, gotta clean her up now. I got all the parts cleaned up. They look pretty spiffy now. But, you know, the more I'm starting to look at this, see how long these parts are? The odds of me being able to weld this thing solid and keep it square is going to be just slim to none. So, but we're going to try it. If I can't get it how I want it, what I'll probably have to do is I'll probably have to go ahead and redraw it up into a shape, if you can see that, like this, okay? And then I'll take it somewhere and have it bent, because it should be bent, and then all I'll have to do at that point, after it's bent, is just weld up these two ends. And then it'll be ready to go. And then these long seams on the bottom will definitely be tight because they'll be connected. So, but we're gonna try it because I already cut them out, and you know what? You don't know until you try. So we're gonna try to weld this thing up, TIG weld it up, and try not to get it to warp and twist. And it's got to hold liquid. So, wish me luck. Well, here goes nothing. Let's start with the easy part. This little handle. This will be the easy part. All right, that was the easy part. Cleaning that up will be nothing. That's just a little handle. But this is gonna be the fun part. Not looking forward to this. I'm gonna be honest. If only it didn't have to hold liquid. We could just tack it together and be done with it. But look, even on the lowest setting, you probably can't see that, but every one of those tacks that I put on blew through. Didn't blow through, but melted through. Now that's a good for stability, but that's as low as I can go. So welding this whole thing down, that's gonna be a lot of heat. A lot of heat on there. My God, bro. 3 inches right on the nose. All right, here's the other side. Let's tack it on. All right, we got a box. Well, kind of. That's what I'm talking about, man. Look at that. That's looking good, just like that. Just like that, if we can just stop there. Okay. Little end pieces, I guess they go like that. It's less thin. So this piece goes on the inside. I wonder why I made that bottom stick out like that. Now we have a box. Now we got a stainless box. And here's our little handle. That'll go on here just like so. But we'll put that on last. Okay. I gotta clean up a few edges and then we're gonna weld it up. I'm gonna try. Okay, so I think I'm gonna try clamping this thing down to the table, keep it from, hopefully it'll keep it from warping that bad. I'm gonna weld the ends of these last, so that way if this does warp, worst case scenario, I can cut these tacks on the end caps and I can hopefully manipulate this, and then when I seal those end caps on, that's what's really gonna make it rigid. That's the idea anyway. So we'll just start with welding a few pieces, you know, all the way down, just doing the sectional welding or whatever you wanna call it. There's a word for it, stitch welding. Do some stitch welding. Here we go, boyos. Now, if you can get to fuse it, see, that's like the whole thing. I've got this turned down low enough to where I can really just crank down on the foot pedal and not really have to worry about adding more heat than what I want, because it's as low as it'll go. So whatever my foot pedal all the way down, whatever heat I get out of that's what I'm gonna get out of that. So now I'm able to just pedal to the floor, and then I gotta just control my speed and my angle with my hand, and you can wind up with some of these really nice fused welds over, you know, the standard TIG welding drop by drop by drop by drop, which does look really nice when it's done, but this metal's too thin. You almost just want to try to fuse it the best you can. And then you get a nice clean weld. See how it goes. Yeah, it blew through right there, so we'll see. You don't want to do that. I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't know. I don't trust it. Listen. This absolutely blows my mind, okay? Look at that. Now, it's only half the battle. We got it welded, I gotta weld the ends yet, and then we gotta clean it up and make sure it holds water. So that's like the biggest thing. But this is an old lab table, and I know that this top, I don't have a jig table in here. So this is gonna be my flattest table that I can test off to see if this thing like has any type of, don't worry about my candy wrappers. This is my flattest bench that I'm gonna be able to tell if this thing has any warpage or not. And I'm telling you, this is crazy. Dude, I'm not just like, that thing is, there's a shadow under there. That's what's kind of, and the weld, sitting on the weld. It is actually pretty freaking square. I can't believe all that heat didn't warp this thing. I'm surprised this thing isn't like, you know, rocking like that. This thing is actually pretty flat. I am impressed. Wow. Yeah, so I just fused most of it. So I got those real nice smooth welds, but that doesn't mean it's gonna hold water. You know, a lot of those welds did come through, so I know I got some penetration. I'm not gonna be able to get inside there and weld it, so I gotta rely on my outside weld, so hopefully it was enough. I'm gonna weld these end caps. I'm gonna grind off the welds, make them look real pretty, and then I'm gonna fill it with water and we'll see if it holds water. I got the ends welded. We're gonna clean it up. We're gonna grind it, just make it just smooth. But before I go all out and like really buff this thing, we're gonna grind the welds so that they're smooth, and then we're gonna fill this thing with water and we're gonna let it sit for like an hour just to make sure we ain't got no leaks. If we do have leaks, we'll try to patch those up, re-weld over them, and then we will fill it with water and keep going until we get this thing watertight. But we're almost there, can you believe it? It doesn't look very pretty on the inside, but you know what? It's gonna be full of grease anyway. Who's gonna see it? Safety first. Here we go. We got her all ground up, cleaned up, best we can for now. We'll do some fine tuning, fine grinding, some polishing or whatever you want to call it in a little bit. I just want to make sure it's going to hold water before I go all out, because I'll probably have to do a few more weld spots and whatever. But yeah, see the inside, it blew right through the inside, but you know, no one's going to see the inside. So the outside where it's at, as long as that's nice and shiny and doesn't leak, then we'll go ahead and weld the handle on and we'll buff it up and we'll see. But now we're going to do the water test. All right, we're gonna do this on the patio so that if it leaks, I can see the water coming out real easy. Anyway, we're gonna fill this up and we're gonna let it sit for about an hour and make sure there's no leaks. Or if it starts leaking, then obviously we'll stop, but we'll let it sit for at least an hour if I don't see any leaks. All right, we've had this water in here for quite a while now. I don't see any dark spots on the concrete. I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish cleaning this up, put the handle on it, try to make it look like a nice stainless piece. I don't know or think I'm gonna worry about the inside where the welds are too much, because it's all gonna be hidden anyway. But if I can get in there with something, I might just try to make it look a little less burnt, but we'll see how it goes. We'll get the outside looking nice. Forgot I took my mic off my other shirt. So anyway, handles on, clean them welds up. I'm gonna buff this up one more time, and then we have ourselves a nice grease tray as I scratch it all up on my dirty table. Oh my God. What I normally do is I hit it all with 80 grit, and this is just a regular orbital. This one's from Harbor Freight, cheap orbital. 80 grit sandpaper, and then I go up to 120, and then I go up to 220, and on the stainless, that usually leaves a really nice finish on it. There's other ways you could do this. You could do like a brushed finish, which would involve a totally different process where you could actually take a piece of sandpaper and by hand just go one direction And I would do like a 120 would probably give you just the right amount of scratches to make it look like a brushed stainless. But it's a grease tray. It's not going in anyone's, you know, dining room or living room or kitchen where you're gonna see it all the time. It's just some industrial piece of equipment that they need in a pinch. So I think that that is good enough. There you go. Stainless steel grease tray.